All right, today we're going to tear apart a really powerful phrase, the Misfit anthem. We're going to dive into what it actually means to be a misfit, the incredible power of an anthem, and how these two things crash together to create a real sense of belonging, often in the last places you'd expect.
So let's just jump right in with a feeling I bet most of us know all too well. You know that sense that you're on the outside looking in? Like everybody else got some secret memo on how to act, and yours got lost in the mail. Yeah, that feeling. It's pretty universal, and it's right at the very heart of what we're talking about. So if that feeling rings a bell even a little bit, then this one's for you. We're going to get into what it means to march to the beat of your own drum and why that's not just okay, it's actually something to be celebrated. To really get a handle on the whole Misfit anthem idea, we've got to start with the misfit. So let's dissect what it truly means to be an outsider. Now, the most important word on this slide is perceived. See, a misfit isn't inherently broken or flawed. They're just different from whatever the established norm is. Their entire identity is basically defined by that contrast.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly, doesn't it? The traditional hero, they're all about upholding the status quo. But the misfit, no way. They challenge it. Their power doesn't come from fitting in. It comes from their individuality. And look, it's a harder path, for sure. It can be a lonely one, but it's also where all the progress comes from.
And we see these guys everywhere in our stories, right? You've got the rebel fighting the system, the visionary who sees a future nobody else can, the outcast just to find their own way. These are the catalysts for change. They're the ones who push us all forward.
So, if misfits are, by definition, out there on the fringes, how in the world do they find each other? Well, that brings us to the second part of our phrase, the anthem.
An anthem is so much more than just a song. It's like a beacon in the dark. It's a signal that cuts through all the noise and says, hey, you are not alone. There are others like you out here. We're a community.
But how does this simple song do all that? Well, it starts by just putting a voice to a feeling that a lot of people share. It validates their experience. Then, it takes that individual feeling and turns it into a group identity. And before you know it, it stops being just a song and becomes a rallying cry, a real call to action.
Okay, so we've got the person, the misfit. We've got their signal, the anthem. But where does this community actually form? Well, often it's in the spaces the mainstream ignores, or is even afraid of. Which brings us to our final and maybe most provocative idea. First things first, let's reframe what we mean by the dark side. I don't want you thinking about cartoon villains or galactic empires. In this context, the dark side represents something else entirely.
And you know, this idea has really deep roots. I mean, as Dante put it, the path to paradise begins in hell. Sometimes finding where you truly belong means you have to venture into the places society tells you are undesirable or frightening. You gotta walk through the dark side.
So really, the dark side is simply the shadow that the mainstream casts. It's that space out on the fringe where different, unconventional, and challenging ideas can actually survive and thrive, away from all that pressure to conform.
Now let's put all these pieces together. Let's see what happens when the misfit finally finds their anthem and embraces this alternative space. This is it. This is the final equation. You take the isolated individual, you add a unifying anthem, and you put them in a space outside the mainstream. What do you get? A new community. And it's a community forged not from conformity, but from a shared difference.
And this is the ultimate outcome, isn't it? The creation of a shared identity for people who felt like they didn't have one at all. From a bunch of scattered individuals, one single, powerful community is born.
So the Misfit anthem is basically a declaration of pride. It says that it's not just okay to be different. It says your difference is exactly what makes you part of this special alternative community. It's your ticket in.
And I'll just leave you with this one thought. Society always tells us to seek the light, to conform, to fit in. But maybe, for some of us, true belonging is actually found in the shadows, with all the other people who are waiting there. What if the dark side isn't a fall from grace, but a homecoming?